Wednesday, September 28th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. I'm meteorologist Matthew East here with you. And finally, some drier type of air settling on in, less muggy as today unfolds across much of the region, especially the Interstate 85 corridor up through the mountains into the foothills. Still warm the next couple of afternoons, but the first real shot of autumn chill is on the way as we get into the upcoming weekend. We'll talk about that, plus we'll take a look at the tropics here as today's video unfolds. Now, overnight, had a pretty decent little round of some rain and thunderstorms rolled through parts of the Piedmont. That is actually the same disturbance that triggered pretty good rain and storms through parts of Mississippi and Alabama early yesterday. That disturbance held together, wound up rolling through central North Carolina overnight. Now, in the wake of that, some drier air is kicking in, and I think the rain chance once you get west of Interstate 95 today is very, very small. There's your temperatures this morning. Temperatures largely in the 60s across the Piedmont. Dew point temperatures, though, also in the low to mid-60s. I think many spots, Charlotte, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, foothills, we'll see some 50s for dew points this afternoon. There's the upper air chart, still our big upper air low that's kind of cut off from the flow, sitting over the Midwest. But there's the game changer swinging on in, this big piece of energy diving from Canada into the northern U.S. And so here's what we look like by tomorrow morning, that piece of energy diving in, kicking out the upper low and carving out a very significant trough in the eastern U.S. as we get into the weekend. That's Saturday morning. And we're looking at a full latitude trough pulling the chilliest air thus far this season into the eastern U.S. this weekend. So let's take it day by day. Today's still pretty warm, highs in the low to mid 80s across the region, but less muggy. Tomorrow should be low 80s, maybe some mid 80s still. Looks like a dry day. Friday, we actually see the front moving through, but there's just not a lot of moisture for the front itself to work with, so I think most of us will not see any rain with the frontal passage on Friday. But boy, there you go, Saturday. Pretty blustery northerly winds all across the region, driving in that chilly air. And look at that, that's our old friend, the 0-degree line up at 850 millibars, making it pretty far south. So Saturday's going to be a day across our region with some 60s for highs, a pretty stiff north wind. Lows as soon as Saturday morning down to the 40s in many spots, and certainly we're looking at lows in the 40s Sunday, Monday, and probably Tuesday mornings too. There's Sunday's chart, not as breezy, but just as cool, some 60s for highs. And I think if we can get the winds to go calm early Sunday morning or early Monday morning, some of those traditionally cooler spots could see some upper 30s for low temperatures. How about that? And let's just stay pretty comfortable, although there'll be a warming trend as we get into the first few days of next work week. That's Tuesday. Looks like upper 80s or so by Tuesday after, upper 70s rather, upper 70s by Tuesday afternoon. Very low humidity still. Really good autumn weather coming up. Really beginning today, still kind of on the warmish side. Then we get that blast of chilly air as we get into the weekend. All right, in the tropics, Ophelia now once again is a classified system. It's a tropical depression this morning. We have Philippe over there way out in the Atlantic Ocean. Here's the modeling on Ophelia, and it looks like it's going to strengthen. It might even become a hurricane by the time it gets pretty close to, although it'll be a little east of Bermuda this weekend. And Philippe, it's going to be interesting to watch here. It looks like certainly a northwest motion here for the next couple of days, but then as some ridging builds back on top of it, it kind of bends back off toward the west, at least for a period of time. And here's the Hurricane Center forecast on that too. Now notice it stays pretty weak. They have it basically as a depression from tomorrow on. But we'll keep an eye on that down the road. If it can get far enough west, you might get into some fun and games, but it's pretty far north, and odds are when the system gets that far north, eventually it's going to get picked up by a trough and swept out to sea. But we'll see. All right, that is it for this Wednesday edition of the video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.